We've all at least heard the old saw that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Now that's an interesting thing when you're looking at the sort of conflict implied in the asymmetry, or the contradiction even implied in the asymmetry between hard determinism, which is implied, in my opinion, in Benatar's asymmetry, and agency, which is appealed to in the name of his corrective for the position that we're in, i.e. antinatalism. Now, the contradiction or the conflict or the clash or whatever, or the inconsistency, is that it's implied that we don't have any agency, but there is a requirement for us to invoke our agency or engage our agency to positively act. Now, the interesting thing is, that's posited, in my opinion, as a double bind, or it ends up being a double bind because of the moral imperatives involved. But the interesting thing is that, in a certain sense, it almost implies that hard determinism is an incomplete picture of what it means to actually choose to do something. It's implied that we choose to do things because of pre-existing circumstances that have narrowed our choices to such an extent that no other choice is possible. I understand that, and in a certain sense, it's difficult to argue against that. But I'm not really interested in arguing against it, in as much as I'm sort of trying to say, well, there are circumstances here that seem to militate against the very premises upon which the conclusions are drawn. You can narrow the horse's options to the point where there are no other choices to be made but to drink. But the problem is, in order for the horse to actually drink, there has to be an engagement of that horse's agency. What does it mean for that horse to drink? What does it mean for that horse to do anything? What does it mean for anything to do anything? Or what does it mean ultimately for something to be done? That implies more than simply being a domino struck by the previous domino. When a domino gets hit by the previous domino and falls over, it didn't really do anything. Something happened to it. It isn't even a reaction. It isn't even a response to the other domino hitting it. It's just blind mechanics. Now, what happens, however, when something does something? When something actually engages its agency? What happens when the horse actually drinks? This is the interesting thing where they say that your choices are predetermined. It's an interesting thing because I won't say that it necessarily contradicts each other, but there is some sort of assumed transcendence there, where rather than just a logjam between agency and hard determinism, some sort of third, I won't call it a reality, but a third perspective is implied. Agency, action, etc. is implied in that case. The horse drinking is not merely a domino falling.